Actually, there's an interesting subject right there. The change in modification since people have been photoshopping stuff.
Yeah.
And since people like Kaiser and all of that lot have been doing their 3D modeling of things. And I'm wondering whether there is a measurable impact in the builds that people have been doing over the past sort of 5 years from the 3D stuff, and for a bit longer from the Photoshop stuff, simply because you can realize an idea visually and then go, oh, okay, that would work. Like those wheels on that car works. And from your point of view, I guess like the motivation stuff from Street Machine, both the stuff you've done and the original Kirk based
Steve Kirk
based stuff. Yeah, bow down to Steve Kirk, he's a legend. Like how that influenced modding. Do you reckon there's a measurable thing in that?
I think so. I mean, the fact that so many like Kaiser cars have been built, and they're of a style that we kind of haven't seen before. So they have to be the influence. But I tell you what, I'm not really that. I don't really like seeing some of them. I know I'm part of this game where we modify cars, and I get to claim all sorts of things because I got it in Street Machine and things like that. And Kaiser does too. Gets to sort of do something, and there it is in the flesh. But I think also because they're getting really good, and then lots of people can't really tell a Photoshop from a non-Photoshop. And at these days, it's actually just because they look a bit clean and the background's perfect or something of a car you've never seen before. And I'm sort of a bit disappointed about that. And I oh God, just occurred to me what it reminds me of. And this is a bad thing to say. You know, when you're watching a TV show and it's like a quiz show, and they get the celebrities in or something, and they give the money to charity.
Yeah,
I actually find that disappointing. I like it when people are winning the money rather than for a charity. It feels a bit like that. That's what it is. It's like, oh, come on. Especially when you think, you know, and like not all celebrities are rich. Some people just have like normal kind of earning of jobs. When you've got some guy who's an actor in Emmerdale or something and probably not earning absolute fortune, and he's just won himself 10 grand. Poor guy's got to give it to some charity. He probably wants that.
You could use that, pay off some of his electricity bill.
That's it, exactly that. He's probably 10 grand. He goes home, his missus says, did you win? Yeah, 10 grand, won 10 grand. Oh, where is it? It's like, I just gave it to hungry children.
Gave it to donkeys.
That is what photoshopping cars is like.
Yeah, I've had to reverse a couple of times. I've seen cars, I've been like, oh, that's a pretty good 3D render.
Yeah,
and then there's like shots from another 3 or 4 angles, and then suddenly I see it in a video, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, well, 3D stuff must be getting very realistic
that Golf.
Oh yeah, that Golf's pretty cool.
That Golf.
But even
that's a funny looking machine though. I haven't seen it in the flesh.
I've seen it in the flesh.
Is it in the flesh? Would you say it's better or worse than in the pictures?
It looks exactly like a render in the flesh, like literally, because it's so well polished. Like I took photos of it, and I looked at my photos, and I was like, "Oh, that looks like a render."
You didn't believe it. You did the backtrack again.
It's insane. It's impressive. It's an impressive bit of kit. I think. It's interesting, that kind of changeover. I think there must be a few cars that have happened because people have got Photoshop or even paint and just gone wheels, lower. Oh, sweet. Off to eBay we go. And then they found that actually lowering that car like that is very, very difficult.
That's it. Yeah. That's one thing about Photoshop is you can be building a car, or even actually about car magazines or pictures from a show or something, is that person might not even, that car may have never even been that low, or B, may have never driven that low. It might just be that I could go outside now, take the springs out of my car, take a photo of it, and I'm now the new benchmark for lowered voxel combos. And everyone's trying to achieve something that is actually unachievable. So but then somebody will go crazy enough to try and achieve it, which I quite like. I think there's that Smith.GT6 that's on. He's doing sort of
cambered out GT6. I know for a fact that lowering GT6s that low is tricky, because there was one next to me in one of my storages way back in the dungeon, and I asked the chap whether or not he tried lowering it, and he had. But there's like, it's one of those things where bits of the chassis rail were scraping on the floor and the engine mounts weren't in the right place, and it was all horrible.
They're pretty low anyway. They are pretty low things anyway. And I was recently, because on the list of cars there was Herald Estates, and I've had a Vitesse Estate that did sit very low, but yeah, it's not an easy task. No. It's probably easier if you don't mind negative camber. Doing it without negative camber would be very difficult.
Yeah. Well, but that's it's an interesting change to modification. But yeah, the 3D models to real life models is just wild. I quite like it when someone takes. So I like the weird takes on supercars they do. I'm not a massive supercar person. I like the old one, but there's I've forgotten his name. Amiel Beck, something like that. Design. I'll put a thing up that did a Ferrari F40 lowrider, which I absolutely love. It's like got proper pattern paint, and it's on gold Daytons and stuff. It's just brilliant. I just kind of want someone to build one, but what I really want is someone to build one, like probably out of a kit. I'm not particularly fussed if someone wants to do that with an actual Ferrari. I wouldn't
like the Miura.
Yeah, like the Miura, exactly.
GT40 pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bit.
He's done something else, hasn't he? He's done something recently, I think. He's done a Testarossa.
Yes, he has.
Like that.
Yeah. There's a pretty wild-looking Testarossa that's just sort of broken cover at Stance Nation in Japan.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. It's him again, isn't it? It's a Liberty Walk.
It's a Liberty Walk car.
So I wonder what that is underneath. Just you can get fake Testarossas, can't you?
Yeah, but it could be a real Testarossa. They're not that expensive. Well, but they're like a 54, 55 grand car for a grotty one if you wanted to build it up. Yeah, they're not as expensive. I thought they'd gone like. No, let's have a look. Let's do.
Let's get a look.
I'll edit this bit out.
Well, don't just keep it on. We'll just talk about it. We'll just, you can be looking and I'll be chatting. That's how it works.
Yeah, I can't find any Ferraris for sale on the internet at the moment.
Oh, I keep looking at your Moon Vans boxes.
Yeah,
in the back. They've an addition from last week.
Yes, I'm gradually tidying up my room and putting stuff back in it. It's. I tell a lie. 512 is the best part of.
I was thinking they were at 2 million.
No, they're about 200,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
512.
Get one of those to slam it.
Hold on.
Why not?
Testarossa. But Testarossa is a mere snip at 120,000.
Is there? It's quite a lot of them. Is there or something? I don't know.
Yeah. They're not that expensive, like for a Ferrari.
There you go.
But I wouldn't surprise me if it was a genuine one.
For a Ferrari that you have to change the petrol tanks every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
at £100,000 a pop or something.
Well,
it's madness like that, isn't it? Is it the fuel tanks in the Testarossa?
No idea.
Yeah, there's like the fuel tanks are like something like £5,000 each, and I think it's got 2 of them, and they need changing every 5 years or something insane like that.
I'll have to keep that in mind when I buy one.
Yeah. Have you had your tanks done, mate?
Yeah. It's like looking for a cam belt change on some cars.
Yeah.
In the little listing. Full service history, cam belt change. Full service history, fuel tanks done.
That's it. Tanks done.
I think, Japan seems to have a habit of just modifying supercars. It seems to be their thing. Like that cross glow guy that modifies everything he has, like his is it Diablo and bits and pieces like that. And it's all right. I got a bit bored of it, if I'm honest.
I think as we know, Japan has quite a high enthusiast / modder rating, whereas in the UK we've got a lot of flat caps. And so I think in Japan, if you're into cars, then you're into modified cars, and so if you've got a Porsche, then you want a slightly better Porsche. Singer.
Yeah. I found that there was a period when it seemed everybody was just buying up whatever, some chunky old supercar, Pantera, a Ferrari 308, a Porsche, well, not quite a supercar, but like any old Lamborghini they could find, and slamming it, just air riding it, putting it on wheels, and not usually to the point where it was so modified it can be put back to stock and sold on. But some of them were. But it and the first few were brilliant. I mean, Dean's Lotus was probably one of the early ones, like probably one of the first for being a supercar in inverted commas that had got air ride on it and everything. But yeah, it just sort of spiraled, and it got to the point where I was like, after a while, I was like, oh, they've done that again. I wasn't really bothered by it, which is interesting. It's coming back around again, I think, because there's a few less of them coming out. Like when I saw that Testarossa from Liberty Walk, I was like, oh, geez. And I think also perhaps you have to do a little bit more. I think wheels and lows now isn't enough for a supercar, which is wild. That's an insane place to be.
It's a bit like Volkswagen floor pan swaps. Is nowadays you see a cool car that's about the size of a Beetle that's sitting on the floor on like Fouche wheels, and you're like, pan swap.
Yeah,
that's it. But I think that's really. I also really like that.
Oh yeah. The thing, they're still worth a look. Still like them. They're still an interesting car. The same with the supercars. It's like interesting, but it's also not as thrilling as it once was. But then you kind of like ratchet up the ante. Like it's like, oh, okay, now you've got to really go for it. You got to put a Liberty Walk kit on it, but
then all you've done then is become a banger racer.
Yeah,
because I totally get that. I totally get. Whilst the stealing of cars is wrong and stuff, the smashing up of rare cars is also pretty cool. If it's a good car, then don't smash it up. But if a totally rotten Toyota Crown Estate comes onto the market and you buy it and you're a banger racer, then the kudos you must get at the track when you turn up with your numbers and your whatever on the side, and you turn up and I'm racing this Crown Estate, it's one of 4. And given the how many left conversation that we had, where everyone's checking, like, oh, let's check how many left. Oh, there's only 7 of these left. It must be worth a load of money. And it's like, no, because nobody really wants a front-wheel drive Nissan Stanza.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they do. Great cars. But yeah, kudos. Banger racing, a super rare thing. It'd be pretty cool if you're a banger racer. I'm sure when you turn up and go, I'm racing last one of these.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing with the supercars. Like, well, look what I've done.
Yeah.
All right. Fair play. I think it's also a little bit like, as I say, things have been going a bit further. Like Mike Stanceworks is building his Time Attack Ferrari 308 and put a Honda engine in it, and it kind of makes sense in a twisted way for that purpose. The other thing I was thinking with engine swaps in older cars. Now, I'm going to get possibly lambasted for this because I do love the sound of a good old engine. I love the sound of an old V12 or straight 6 or inline 6, whatever. I do like that, and I get it, and I understand that's where the atmosphere of the car comes from. But those cars are like 300 brake horsepower.
Yeah.
I can get that in a Golf. So if I want a fast car that looks like that now, then either I have to do a lot of engine work on it, in which case I've removed a lot of the originality. It still probably has its atmosphere and its kudos and everything, but it's also insanely expensive for those kind of things. Or I can pick myself up a 400 brake horsepower or more engine out of a S200 or whatever, like
S2000,
S2000 with a bit of tuning and all that kind of stuff. And I'm off and rolling again in a high-speed car with a lighter engine. And I get torn on it because I'm a bit like, just from raw numbers,
Because the amount of effort that people go to make fast Volkswagens, and they're like, wow, and they've got a lot of tuning in their, 2.1. What do they go out to? I can't remember. Whatever
2.18, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Their 2.1 Type 1 motor, and it's knocking out 180 horsepower with a turbo or something. And you could have just put a Subaru up in it.
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
That's it. But then you can't rate. You have to race in a different class, don't you? If you put the super
exactly.
engine in. But there's a lot of that going on. And what's like the Ferraris we're talking about, 308s, probably what, 250 horsepower or something.
Yeah, they're not
on
big,
on an engine that costs about 20 grand to rebuild. It'd be a lot easier to just casually slot that engine out and put it on a stand in the corner of your workshop, and then put in a 5-pot turbo Ford motor.
Slapping an Audi 5-pot or something.
That's it. Put it.
Screaming intakes. Lovely. Right.
Or an electric motor.
Okay.
Tesla.
We will. That's so boring. That I have the same problem with. Okay. We'll save this. We will park this. We will have a discussion. About Tesla spot cars. We will have a discussion about in the future. I have, as you can imagine, opinions.
Yes,
they're not all negative, but they are.